Hello everyone and welcome back to the Armchair Lounge, aka the ACL. Race number 2 of the NASCAR season is officially in the books, with second-year driver Christopher Bell capturing the win on the Daytona road course. After running down and passing former Cup champion Joey Logano with 2 laps to go, Bell became the first driver since Juan Pablo Montoya in 2007 to win a road course race on the Cup level within their first 3 road course starts. Bell also became the first Joe Gibbs driver to officially clinch a spot in this year's playoffs, joining Daytona 500 winner Michael McDowell. It is the first time that the Cup Series has seen 2 first-time winners in the first 2 races of the season since 1950. Going into this season, Bell had a ton of pressure on him to perform well after taking over the famed number 20 car previously ran by Eric Jones at Joe Gibbs Racing. With Sunday's victory at Daytona, it's fair to say that most, if not all of the preseason pressure on Bell has been relieved. So with 24 races left to go before the playoffs, who are the drivers still under the most pressure this season? I'm Sean with the ACL, and here are the top 5 Cup drivers under the most pressure in 2021. Number 5, William Byron. The former Xfinity Series champion and iRacing phenom is entering his 4th full-time season in the Cup Series. His Cup career through the first 3 seasons has been pedestrian, to put it kindly. In his first 106 career Cup starts, Byron has captured 9 top 5s, 31 top 10s, and his lone Cup win came last year at the regular season finale at Daytona. He's also led 434 laps and has a career average finish of 17.7. Now these aren't necessarily bad stats considering the fact that William Byron is still only 23 years old, and Chevrolet in general has had a steep learning curve to overcome since switching over to the Camaro back in 2018. But at the same time, it feels as though Byron's Cup career has been a bit underwhelming, as all of his starts have come in Hendrick Motorsports equipment, which is the best that Chevrolet has to offer and is generally near the top among all NASCAR teams. When comparing his first 3 seasons with Hendrick Motorsports teammates Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, it also appears that Byron has underachieved so far. Driving for Chip Ganassi during his first 3 seasons in the Cup Series, Larson posted 1 win, 20 top 5s, 42 top 10s, led 547 laps, and had an average finish of 16.1. Meanwhile, Elliott posted 3 wins, 33 top 5s, 59 top 10s, led 1,243 laps, and had an average finish of 12.9 in his first 3 full-time seasons at Hendrick Motorsports. Now, to Byron's credit, he has made the playoffs the last 2 seasons, and his average finish in 2020 wasn't indicative of how well his team was running throughout most of the season. That being said, Byron has not made it past the round of 12 in the playoffs so far, nor has he finished inside the top 10 in the final point standings. Byron is starting his 4th Cup season with already his 3rd different crew chief, reuniting with his old Truck Series crew chief, Rudy Fugle. Though Byron showed some speed down in Daytona and qualified on the front row for the Daytona 500, he has not yet led a lap this season, has finished outside the top 25 in the first 2 races, and currently sits 29th in the point standings. Though Byron signed a contract extension back in August to remain with Hendrick Motorsports through 2022, this could be the year where we find out if Byron the Cup driver becomes what he was down in the Xfinity and Truck Series just a few years ago, or if he's just another one-win wonder at Hendrick Motorsports that's reminiscent to Jerry Nadeau, Brian Vickers, and Casey Mears. Number 4, Ryan Blaney. Now, as I mentioned in my 2021 playoff predictions, which you can find the link for in the description below, 2021 is a make it or break it year for the 27-year-old driver. Not make it or break it in the sense that he will be out of the Cup Series after this season, as he's made the playoffs each year since 2017 and just signed a multi-year extension around this point last year, but make it or break it in terms of being a legitimate championship contender. Since joining the Cup Series full-time back in 2016, Blaney has often been compared with fellow 2016 rookie driver and best friend Chase Elliott. During his first 2 seasons, Blaney was essentially on the same pace with Chase in terms of progression, as both of them made the round of 8 in the playoffs in 2017. Blaney was even the first of the 2 to score their first career Cup victory, despite driving for the lower-tiered Wood brothers at the time. When Blaney made the jump to Penske Racing back in 2018, it was expected that we would see Blaney reach his full potential and join teammates Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano as proverbial championship threats. Though Blaney's laps led and top 5 total significantly increased after joining Penske 3 years ago and has made it into the playoffs each season, he's only made it past the round of 12 one time during his tenure there. Along with that, Blaney has only won 3 races in the last 3 seasons, with essentially all 3 of them coming down more to luck than actual performance. Considering the fact that both of his Penske teammates in 2020 made the Championship 4 race and combined for 7 wins, last season for Blaney was a major disappointment. 2021 has not gotten off to a better start either, as Blaney currently sits 19th in the point standings after crashing out of the Daytona 500 and finishing 15th on the road course after racing outside the top 10 for pretty much most of the day. This weekend, NASCAR is heading down to Homestead, where Blaney led 70 laps there back in June and finished 3rd. This could be the race where we see Blaney's season take off, as he was one of the fastest drivers in 2020 on the mile-and-a-half tracks. But finishing well or even winning a race over the next 24 races isn't good enough for this team. Over the past 5 years, we have seen the Championship 4 race be made up of drivers that have won multiple races over the course of the season. If Blaney wants to be thought of as a real championship contender in the NASCAR community and possibly keep his ride at Penske beyond the next 2 years, he has to prove that he can win more than just one race in a season. Like Chase Elliott proved last year, Blaney has to prove himself clutch by performing well in the postseason too. While winning the championship might not be considered a must for him this year, anything below a top 5 finish in the final point standings should be considered a failure for Blaney. Number 3, Alex Bowman. Bowman is coming off the strongest season of his NASCAR career, having made it to the round of 8 for the first time ever and finished 6th in the final point standings. Bowman also received a contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports during the offseason and was pegged as Jimmy Johnson's official replacement in the number 48 Ally Chevrolet. So why is Bowman number 3 on this list? This merely comes down to the fact that Bowman currently doesn't have a cup ride beyond 2021. Unfortunately, NASCAR is the biggest sports league in America where if you don't have enough sponsorship support, you're not going to be in a competitive ride for the full season. Early on in Bowman's career, he was just known as a young driver competing in both the Cup and Xfinity series for teams that quite frankly were at the bottom of the totem pole, such as BK and Tommy Baldwin Racing. Bowman wouldn't get his first huge break until 2016 when he drove 10 Cup races in the 88 car, subbing for an injured Dale Earnhardt Jr. With a blessing from Dale Jr., Bowman was selected by Rick Hendrick to be Jr.'s replacement in the 88 starting in 2018, with Nationwide remaining as the primary sponsor. Unfortunately, the relationship between Bowman and Nationwide lasted for only 2 years, as Nationwide departed Hendrick Motorsports and NASCAR at the end of 2019. Last year, Bowman had a wide variety of primary sponsorships that included Axalta, Valvoline, Lumar, Acronis, Planters, Chevy Goods, and Cincinnati, who served as the primary sponsor for his victory last March at Fontana. Now this year, Bowman is scheduled to have Ally as his primary sponsor for all 36 races in the Cup season, so finding sponsorship isn't an issue for him. The main goal or issue for Bowman this year is convincing Ally that he should be their driver beyond the 2021 season. Ally has been partnered with Hendrick Motorsports since 2019, but when they came into the sport just a little over 2 years ago, it was to support a 7-time Cup Series champion. I'm not trying to downplay Bowman as a driver, as he's made it into the playoffs in each of his first 3 seasons at Hendrick Motorsports and even outperformed Johnson over the past 2 years. But in today's age, it's rare to find cars with one primary sponsor throughout the whole season. With Ally currently under contract with Hendrick Motorsports until 2023, it is likely that Rick Hendrick will put whomever Ally wants as its driver for the 48 car for 2022 and beyond. Other drivers who may be free agents this offseason include Brad Keselowski, Matt DiBenedetto, Eric Almirola, and Tyler Reddick. If Alex Bowman wants to remain with Hendrick Motorsports beyond 2021, then this season may need to be better than last year. Number 2, Bubba Wallace. This is probably the most self-explanatory driver that is on this list. Outside of maybe Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace is the most well-known NASCAR driver in the country. Bubba's 2020 in of itself was a roller coaster. From taking more of a vocal stand on racial inequality in a time where NASCAR banned Confederate flags at the racetracks, to running a Black Lives Matter paint scheme at Martinsville, to the controversial news story this past summer at Talladega, there is no question that Bubba has become the most polarizing figure in the sport. Of course, one of the biggest things Bubba's detractors will point at is his lack of success on the Cup level. In 114 career starts, Bubba has 3 top 5s, 9 top 10s, has led 35 laps, and has an average finish of 23rd. While Bubba has never made the playoffs, or for that matter even won a Cup race, many logical fans could at least acknowledge that Bubba has been driving in subpar equipment over the past 3 years for a Richard Petty Motorsports team that has only won 2 races in the last decade. But back in September, it was announced that Bubba would be driving the number 23 Toyota for 23XI Racing, a newly formed team run by both Denny Hamlin and global sports icon Michael Jordan. While most new teams in NASCAR would probably be allowed to at least run 1 full year in the circuit in order to establish success, this new team is expected to contend for wins and make a push for the playoffs almost immediately. Part of this is due to the team's strong technical alliance with Toyota Racing Development and Joe Gibbs Racing, which has been the main flagship team for Toyota over the past 13 years. Part of it is also due to the team's affiliation with MJ, who is known by most sports fans as the greatest basketball player of all time and whose apparel brand has allowed him to become a billionaire. But perhaps the main reason for these immediate expectations comes from the fact that Bubba Wallace has become one of the biggest social justice icons in sports today, in due part to him being the only African American driver in a sport built on Southern heritage and even to this day is predominantly filled with white male drivers. Bubba has even publicly admitted that there are no excuses for him not to succeed this season, as he expects to win multiple races in his new ride and compete for NASCAR's playoffs for the first time. With this kind of self-expectations, along with the bright spotlight of the national media on him on a weekly basis, and a plethora of detractors that will be rooting for him to fail, it should come as no surprise that Bubba Wallace is this high on the list. So which driver could possibly be under more pressure than Bubba Wallace this season? How about a driver whose future in NASCAR is in jeopardy? Coming in at number 1 on this list is NASCAR's most popular underdog driver, Matt DiBenedetto. When I think of Matty D's NASCAR career, the one word that comes to mind is heartbreak. Even though Matty D started his career as a development driver for Joe Gibbs Racing back in 2009, he has mainly been a journeyman driver for small, underfunded teams in both Cup and Xfinity throughout most of it. Matt would not become that well known of a driver though until 2016 in the spring race at Bristol, where he finished 6th driving for the infamous BK Racing. Not only did his performance grab viewers' attention that day, but his genuine, emotional interview after the race helped turn him into a fan favorite.
I'm sorry, I'm so speechless. I'm so thankful to everybody on this team, everybody at BK Racing, Cosmo Motors in Hickory in North Carolina. They're local to me. He's my best friend. Sell some awesome cars. Please check him out. Everyone at BK Racing, Dustless Blasting. These guys, man, that's unbelievable for a team like us to be growing this much and for us to get a 6th place run. I'm sorry, I'm so emotional. It's just, this is like a win for us, and I am so excited. I see my family back here, my wife, Taylor, my brother is in town from the military, and I'm so glad he got to experience this. This is incredible. I'm so blessed to be here.
After spending the following 2 seasons driving for Go Fast Racing, it appeared that Matty D was finally getting his first break in 2019 when it was announced that he would be driving the 95 for Levine Family Racing, who had recently started building a stronger technical alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing. And even though Matt had turned in some impressive performances over the first 23 races, including top 10 finishes at both Sonoma and Watkins Glen, it was announced that DiBenedetto would not be returning to LFR the following season, as Joe Gibbs Racing wanted their development driver Christopher Bell in the car instead. Looking to prove everyone that he belongs in NASCAR's top division, Matty D almost pulled off another Bristol miracle just a few days later, leading a race-high 93 laps and was poised to get his first Cup victory. Unfortunately, lap traffic would play a factor in the end, and Matty D would have to settle for a disappointing 2nd place finish. Just when it seemed as though hope was lost for DiBenedetto's Cup career, he was later announced as the newest driver for the famed Wood Brothers Racing in 2020. Going into this last season, the expectations were that we would finally see Matty D showcase his skills in above-average equipment make it into NASCAR's playoffs, and help get the Wood brothers their 100th career Cup victory. Then COVID hit. After just 4 races into the season, preventing Matty D and other Cup drivers with new teams from building any sort of chemistry or momentum, as NASCAR announced upon its return in May that there would be no practice or qualifying sessions for the remainder of the season. In spite of that, Matty D would barely qualify his way into the playoffs for the first time. Though Matty D showed signs of speed during the regular season, he would become an afterthought in the playoffs, finishing outside the top 15 in the first 3 races and would be one of the first 4 drivers eliminated from championship contention. DiBenedetto's first season with the Wood brothers would end with 3 top 5 finishes, including 2 runner-up finishes at both Vegas races, 11 top 10s, and a 13th place finish in the final standings. And even though Matty D had by far his best season and got the Wood brothers into the playoffs for the first time since 2017, it still did not prove enough to earn himself a long-term extension, as it was announced back in October that 2021 would be his last season driving the famed 21 car, and that he would be replaced by current Xfinity Series champion Austin Cindric in 2022. So out of the 16 drivers that have made the playoffs last year, DiBenedetto is currently the only one that we know of that is hunting for a new ride at the end of this year. While there will be plenty of rumors and speculation about his plans for 2022, such as possibly becoming the second driver over at 23XI Racing, this year will no doubt be viewed as a make it or break it season for the soon-to-be 30-year-old driver. As good of a season as he had in 2020, he may need to have a better 2021 season in order to secure himself a top ride next year. In fact, he may need to win at least 1 race this season in order to prove to team owners and sponsors that he is indeed a winning driver. But hey, if Michael McDowell can win his first Cup race after 357 career starts in lesser equipment, then there's still hope for Matty D. So when you hear Matty D this season talk about fighting for his career, just know that it's not hyperbole, it's reality. So that's my list for the top 5 Cup drivers under the most pressure this year. Thank you to everyone that followed along all the way to the end of this video. Leave a like if you agree with this list, or feel free to share your opinion on the matter in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure to subscribe to this channel to be notified of future content, and follow us on social media in the links below. Your support goes a long way keeping me motivated to create future content for you guys. But until next time, my friends, stay safe and enjoy the racing season.